my gosh, let's get out the next one. Frankenstein comes out the same year, about 3 months later, and it's a bigger hit than Dracula, and it makes Boris Karloff the biggest name in Hollywood for over a decade. That Wolfman, The Mummy, Disco Man, Frankenstein, the Bride Frankenstein, Abbott Costello beat Frankenstein, Abbott Costello beat your mother-in-law. Well, that's not a real film, but all the other ones are. The Universal Monster movies save this wheel from bankruptcy. We probably go under, and we don't take the scores in it, and they introduce the world to the genre film we now know as horror. Birthplace of the modern horror film. Right there, Little Europe. So without them, no Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Chucky, Pinhead, Leatherface, Ghostface, none of the faces without our Universal Monsters, all filmed right there in Little Europe. And the way that they were able to make those monster movies cheap, and those horror films, what are now known as horror films, is because they could just reuse the same sets over and over and over again the same way we do now, and just put different stuff on it. They changed filmmaking forever in so many ways. Now, we established the exteriors of places out here in the back lot. Interiors inside of the sound station. They're taking you through an empty one. Now it's time to take you through one that's actually being used for production. And as we come in, let's look around and use what we've learned. What the way that this place dress tell us where we are. Like subway train station, where? San Francisco. How do we know literally the signs on the wall? They say, well, okay, folks, this is California. And nothing really to worry about. They should pass fairly quickly. So while we wait, we'll look at, take a look at the left-hand side. You're going to notice that the ceiling is collapsing. Okay, that's great. I'm sure that's just a picture car, not actually, it should be filled with gas. And clearly I'm wrong. Fire! Okay, once again, these remain calm, remain seated, as I said, not a real subway train. Absolutely no chance that an actual subway could be facing towards us from the track on the opposite side. What's that? It's a subway. Alright, I'm back without. Well, at least it's flooding, right? He just said tidal wave. Holy humanity! Hi! Folks, just survived earthquake of influence relation to the actual California earthquake. Now, this is back in the early 80s, based off of the natural reports that came out in the 70s called earthquake. Because of all beyond the mystical and magical creatures of the monsters, Dracula, Frankenstein, started to be introduced as a monster. During that disaster, the towering inferno, earthquake, etc. And then, in the middle of the 70s, somebody had the right idea to take an actual creature from nature and turn them into the monster. Because if you think about it, they are, and that would be the shark from Jaws.
There is a creature alive today who has survived millions of years of evolution without change, without passion, and without logic. It lives to kill. A mindless eating machine. It will attack and devour anything. It is as if God created the devil and gave him jaws.
So, folks, we brought you here. Now, when they film the one that's figured on the East Coast, entirely on the East Coast. These are very safe shots. Now eating that diaper. I don't think it's a good idea for you to be in there, baby. Oh, give me this. Serve me, guys. Guys. There they are. He was a good chunk. Folks, I'm going to ask everybody to please remain in their seats as we arrive at the sacred spot, which I'm being told is 20, 30 feet down. There's doctors behind all these large barrels. Gasoline. Gasoline. What is possibly go wrong? Ah! case it wasn't what it is. It is summer, so we're just going to have a little barbecue. Fish fry, if you will. What's that coming on the right-hand side? Oh, no! Oh! 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 Just so everyone is aware, that is exactly what sharks sound like in the wild. Folks, big round of applause for Bruce Shark Jaws!
Yeah.
Which, folks, the film turned 50 this year. 50 years old, 50 years old. The shark can still eat the shark. Our shark works pretty much all the time. Not the case with Steven Spielberg's shark. Anybody familiar with one of the most problematically played productions of all time? One of the big reasons for that is something we discussed earlier in the empty soundstage. Not want to film in nature. Steven Spielberg insisted on filming in the open water. Bad idea. That caused the majority of his problems. Let's go over the rules. You can't keep the sun from sun. You can't keep the wind from blowing. You cannot, and you must respect the scene, and you cannot control the weather. You can do all those things here in the lot, and we're about to show you one of those ways. We brought you to Old Mexico here to bring and show you a little weather demonstration. Show you how you can add weather to film the television from the inside of the sound stage. Thunder from lightning. Thunder from fingers. Lightning from sort of light. Now we're going to make it rain using the highest of high-tech movie-making equipment. Sprinklers. That's it. Just turn the sprinklers on. You shoot some water in there, falls through, breaks apart, looks like rain. Now, you must backlight. We must backlight this effect when we film it. Otherwise, it will not appear on screen. Anybody sports fan. You watch the game where the announcers are screaming, it's really coming down here in Pittsburgh or wherever, and you look at the field and you don't see anything, but then they show the stadium lights, and in front of it, it's just monsoon coming from everywhere. You're like, how in the world are they playing? Same thing here. The difference is, we can turn the weather off whenever we need it for however long we need. We can make it as heavy or light as we want. We can avoid disasters. Like, more like that. I guess. Okay, everybody take a seat. He thought grass room was enough. That is our flash flood simulation. Don't worry, that is recycled water. We don't need films such as Big Fat Liar have utilized that flash flood effect. It's not just for the tour. Lady Gaga, part of her Judas video here. She got knocked off her feet in the big way to move down the hill. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull used this whole area of Old Mexico that we're driving through for their film. It was Peru, a marketplace there. Nacho Libre starring Jack Black. The Three Amigos starring Chevy Chase, Martin Short. And of course, Old Mexico directly across the border from the Old West. We've entered the area we're a lot known as 6 Points. These are the oldest sets in our back lot dating back to silent. Famous cowboys have moseyed on down these streets. Kirk Douglas, Clint Eastwood, the Duke himself, John Wayne, and Jimmy Stewart, amongst many others. However, many of you may recognize these sets from a much more recent film. And so about 6 years ago. Oh my God, 6 years. 2019. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, directed by Quentin Tarantino. 45 minutes to film, all took place right here in 6 Points in Old Mexico. Other productions that have used our Western sets, Saving Mr. Banks. This was part of the Australian Outback. The Color Purple, starring Whoopi Goldberg and Oprah Winfrey. Directed by Steven Spielberg. The end of the film, Celia's dress shop, when she opens it, is there in 6 Points. Now, I've already mentioned that our attractions are used in filming all the time. Earthquake was in Beverly Hills Cop 3, as well as TV shows like Bones, Flash Flood. That's just a fraction of them that were used, that it was used for. Over here, in Amity, take a look at that boathouse past the shark. It says Cabot Cove, right? Cabot Cove is the hometown of Jessica Fletcher, played by Dame Angela Lansbury, and every child's favorite television show growing up, Murder, She Wrote, because there is nothing kids love more than watching old people solve crime. And that is. Now, coming up over here on your right-hand side, you're going to see this white home. It was originally built for the best little whorehouse in Texas, starring the global treasure that is Dolly Parton. For all the kids, you remember Beethoven the St. Bernard movie? Yeah, that's his home, right there. And it is directly across from this street we're turning town. Now, yes, it is. We've been able to go down here a few times now. One of our most used streets, Colonial Street, which most folks would recognize as Wisteria Lane, home to everyone's favorite, Desperate Housewives.
If there is one thing everyone in suburbia can appreciate, it's a good neighbor.
What the heck? So, not all of these homes, you recognize them from Desperate Housewives, the clip you're seeing now. But this area's been used so much. Never have I ever, that's Davy's house over there on the left-hand side, which was also Terry Hatcher's home in Desperate Housewives. This is the neighborhood for Ted, the new TV series Ted. This is where Ted and John live with their family. It's a suburb of Boston. Now, this was also the neighborhood. It looks like this. I believe the first production, at least one of the first productions, was changed to this, at least close to this, was a comedy in the 80s called The Burbs, starring Tom Hanks and Carrie Fisher. Who saw The Burbs? This is the neighborhood they lived in, right here. This area has been closed because they were filming a television series based off of the film. It is episodic and starring Keke Palmer, and they decided to use the same neighborhood as a tribute. Now, if you take a look at the Brown house over there on the left-hand side, Ace Hardware, the Ace Hardware house, that's it. Super Bowl commercials, all filmed out here with Beyonce broke the internet 2 Super Bowls ago. This was the neighborhood she made the announcement. Right there, the White House on your left-hand side, that is where Ted and John live at Ted. And over here on your right-hand side, that home was originally the home to the Monsters. Yes. Perfect. With this square home here, and this is Delta House, not from Animal House. So the clip is wrong, and they've still not changed it. That was filmed entirely on location at the University of Oregon. That house was built for a television series that was a spin-off called Delta House. And that was the home that they used as Delta House on the show.
No
so
squirrel.
whoever the story wanted to read that clip, we really, I think it was Mike, who knows. But we are connected, we are now leaving. So my Desperate Housewives fans, do you remember, I can't remember who was going on vacation, but they left Wisteria Lane to drive up to Northern California, like Big Bear or something like that. And you saw them driving all over the place. And then, the car was going through the trees in the woods. And then they got to a cabin. This is the road that they just filmed that car going back and forth on. And the cabin was at the top of the hill. They were not 5 hours away in Big Bear or wherever it was. They were here. This is where they filmed. This is Steven Spielberg Drive, the longest street in our backlot. Film a lot of wilderness shots out here. Better to film in our wilderness than to go out real worldwide. We've got electricity. No danger of being eaten by bears and stuff. At least not completely. And as we turn the corner, all my gearheads out there, you're going to see, this is your moment, our picture cars. As Braden said, picture cars, any car or vehicle, whether it's driven or not, that appears on the screen of the film or projects, very famous ones. Come here. I'm going to have you take a seat there. And right on over here, on your left-hand side, you can see the gyrosphere from Jurassic World, which is missing a major component, a major part. What's missing from that gyrosphere? The glass, the big glass bubble. You want to know why it's missing? Because it didn't ever exist in the first place. It was superimposed post-production through CGI, computer-generated images. The Flintstone mobiles were just run around on camera cars, basically towed around. And of course, collection not complete without some of the fleet from the most successful Universal franchise of all time, Fast and Furious. And to even have some on loan from Paramount. Bumblebee, Barricade, Autobot, Decepticon, Transformers. More than meets the eye, they're like wrestling. On-screen, they're friends. On-screen, they kick the crap out of each other. And they're all parked out back at this hotel. If anybody needs a rest, there always seems to be 12 rooms, 12 vacancies. Probably because it's the most infamous motel in all of film history. The Bates Motel, home to Norman Bates, and the setting to Psycho, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Now you're probably wondering what's all in front of this motel. They are getting ready for our Halloween Horror Nights extravaganza. Terror Trail. The Terror Trail drops you off in the picture cars, and you have to walk your way past the Bates Motel, through the maze, all the way up the hill, past the actual Psycho house that Alfred Hitchcock used in the film, where some folks say they can still see Mother in the second-story window, keeping it on her baby boy, looking just as good as she did when she filmed back in 1960. Her secret? Not Ozempic. Formaldehyde. It's formaldehyde. That is the home, the outside of the home. The interior is where the sound station. And I'd be a little psycho too if it was a mess in my backyard. It would make me crazy. Although I have to admit, it is the most impressive set in our back lot. It is the airplane crash site for the world, directed by Steven Spielberg. The most frequently asked question, well, is that an actual 747? Actually, the answer is yes. It is a decommissioned 747 required on the airplane. Obviously, desert purchase price is $60,000. That's pretty darn cheap. However, the shipping and handling together here was $200,000, and they had to bring it here in 4 separate pieces. It took them 3 months to build this set. It took them 3 days to film the scene for it to spend roughly 4 minutes in the movie, at a cost of about $2.5 million. Now, one of the major rules here at Universal is you must put everything back the way you found it after you film. Look at this mess. It was going to, oh, by the way, Desperate Housewives fan, there's cabin on the inside, which was actually on the other side of the street when they filmed, and then they put it back to the original. Originally, The Great Outdoors, starring Dan Aykroyd and the late John Candy.
They didn't stop? Let us walk around?
And as we're making our way back down Steven Spielberg Drive, War of the Worlds, the road named after him. All of these big blockbuster rides that he has been done. This is a culmination, realization of a childhood dream coming true. Just for lots of folks here, Gordon Peele, Alfred Hitchcock, all coming to fruition, creating these films, these TV shows that inspire us and that we love so much. Otherwise, we would not be here. This is why we love this medium of storytelling. They can help us escape the regular world for a little while. They can make us laugh, make us cry. They can make us think. They can make us see things from an absolutely different perspective that we never thought we could ever understand. Meaning they can educate us. It's a very powerful tool. They can inspire us, not just the actors, directors, and writers, but also inspire us to become the people that we are. Some folks may have taken on a profession because of what they saw in a film or television show. I have a friend who is leaving from being the dean of Eastern Michigan University. She's a doctor of archaeology, and the reason she became a doctor of archaeology is because she saw Raiders of the Lost Ark as a kid. That's where it goes.